This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're watching Gospel Goodies TV.
Gospel goodies.
Gospel goodies. Gospel goodies.
This is Gospel Goodies.
I don't know if you remember, but I tell you every time I see you, it hasn't been that many times, but Gospel Goodies viewers know I call you the Quiet Storm, like so much so that I have to remember that that's not your name, because I'll be like, oh yeah, did you hear the Quiet Storm's new song? They're like, who? And I'm like, oh, but like I was just telling Lamont, you're literally like, it's like soft, and then you just sneak up on us. So yeah, Quiet Storm.
So that's a good thing?
Yeah, that's an amazing thing.
All day, that's a good thing. The Quiet Storm, what she's saying is like, you know how you walk to the stage, and we catch you sometimes, you be in meditation, and you know, you say hello, and you speak, and then you get on stage, and we can see when you and God shift from cool, and then the atmosphere in the whole place is like, wow.
Wow, that's kind of you to say. That's kind of you to say.
Yeah, that's like, we've seen it a couple of times. So when she said Quiet Storm, I'm like, that fits him. That's
very kind of you to say. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We appreciate it.
But let's talk about this new album, Still. I'm getting very nostalgic vibes from it, but with a visual. I kind of feel like it's all season. So for me, when I listen to music, I see it. So when I heard some songs on Still, I just felt like it was something you could roll down the windows to and just kind of reflect. But it's also so warm and cozy, especially with Ain't No Need to Worry with Miranda Curtis. I just feel like it's a moment. So can you kind of walk us through how you crafted that together?
I love how you said that. In fact, I talked to somebody else and they called it a shoulder rub. That's what it felt like, a nice shoulder rub.
Yeah.
Let's start with that song in particular, because I was just describing that to somebody today. It's like, when I think about that song and I think about those two voices previously, Anita Baker and Marvin Winans, who wrote the song, and they both sang it the first time. Well, actually, the Winans sang it. But it felt like comfort. It felt like a warm blanket. It felt like an anchor, you know? And you take it for granted as a child. That's when I was first introduced to that song as a child, because you know, you got your parents, you got people around you, you know, always hugging you and stuff anyway. When you get older, you got to kind of find that for yourself still, you know? And that's what remembering Ain't No Need to Worry was for me. And I was so glad Miranda agreed to come in and do it, because one of the reasons that song worked before was because we believed them when they said that we didn't have to worry and that weeping may endure for a night. And when I hear Miranda's voice in particular, she's one of those voices that you just believe. You believe when she tells you she's all in, you believe it. I'm all in, you know? So I'm glad that you guys gravitated to the song. And that was my prayer. Like, I wanted to say something to the people that believe us, that trust us, that tamps down the worry and the anxiety and the fear, despite the circumstances. This is not to delude ourselves from what we see, but we still have a God who sits high and looks low and has his hand on us.
Wow. Well, I personally, I appreciate that, because when this pandemic started, that was one of the songs that I did on my Instagram Live and called myself Encouraging Others. And I was in a place that I felt like I could encourage. Then I lost my brother to COVID. That song after that is like, I still believed it, but I couldn't sing it anymore. So now to hear you come back with the same song and then hear your testament behind it, I thank you for that encouragement, man. Like, when I tell you this thing is like, the world, what we're going through right now is a shakeup. And, you know, we need encouraging, and encouraging each other is important. I appreciate you for doing that.
May I say this? I wanted to say, first of all, condolences to you. And really to anybody listening, man. Everybody, like you said, we're in the middle of a shaking. And when those types of things happen, man, condolences to you, one, first of all. And then two, I think you spoke to something that I am trying to say, and that is that one day I have the grace and the strength and the will to encourage my brother, and prayerfully it strengthens them enough to be able to return it to me when I don't have it, like when I'm weak and I don't believe it, I can't see my way forward. And I think that's how we're supposed to work as a body in a community. No one person has all the answers. No one person is supposed to be the savior to all, or supposed to be lifted up as an idol for everything. We all need to lean and depend on one another as we look to the hills from whence cometh our help, knowing that the Lord is our help. And that's part of what I want to say with this Still record and with my ministry, period, man. It's like we all need help. We need help, you know? And no one person has all the answers. Am I gonna say this? Let me think about what I'm gonna say. You can read that Bible all day, you can memorize everything in that Bible, and it still won't be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You'll know every verse, but you still need to lean on this God that we've never seen, but we know is there. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe me, ask Job, who's the most righteous man that ever lived, and God still allowed him to be tempted and tested to the point where he started to question whether he had done something wrong. Mm-hmm. And God was like, nah, it's just that you weren't there in the beginning. So there's no way you could understand the full expanse of my knowledge and my grace, and how this is going to work out for your good. Your pride is in the way.
Wow.
That's good.
Let me tell you this. My prayer, man, through this season is for mercy. Lord, have mercy on us as we navigate these changes and the shaking that you have us in. Am I talking to two people that know we need mercy?
For sure.
Yes, you are.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know,
and you finding out, man, that's not all of the truth.
Yeah, he's so good all the time. When we don't deserve it, when we're going through. So
I didn't mean to take us off on a tangent. It was on my mind.
No. Yeah. We need that. It's been a lot of loss in this season. Like we were just talking about, we had an interview with somebody about 2 weeks ago. So for me personally, I lost my dad. I lost my dad about a year ago though. But me, I'm 30. He's like my everything. So I I stopped gospel goodies. I stopped work. I took a break off of work. I just felt so lost. And I was like Job, I was like, I mean, I know it's inevitable. Death is there. But I just felt like at that time too, everything else just kept going wrong. And I was like, well, what's the point? What am I doing here? Why does this matter? God, where are you at? Because why right now? It's just a whole lot of things you go through. Where so much so I even had to go to therapy. So 2 weeks ago, we were talking to, I think it was Kirk Franklin, about just kind of recognizing those moments and being real with yourself about those moments to where you can know the Bible front to back. I have gospelgoodies.com, but I still had that vulnerable moment. Those moments are still very real. So it's definitely music like yours and some other songs that keep us encouraged. And it's just good to know that people can see that it's not all roses. Sometimes it's a few thorns in there, a few valleys, but there's just faith that we always get back up top. So
that's it. And it's okay to mourn. It's okay to stop and lament and cry out and say, God, I don't understand this. No, I don't understand it. I don't. Part of why we put Inner City Blues on the record, because that song is 50 years old and its lyrics ring true today. It's a lament at what, despite the myriad of churches we have in our neighborhoods, despite the fact that we've been told we live in the greatest nation in the world, we still can't figure that out. We can't figure out police overreach or poverty in our cities, or why one person's version of the truth seems to be diametrically opposed to somebody else's version of the truth, and we're looking at the same thing. That is lamentable. And part of what you're acknowledging to me when you mourn and lament is that, man, this is bigger than me. I can't, this is beyond my reach. And I need my God to show up in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then God says, well, plant your seed of faith. Keep moving forward. Keep taking that next step forward. And watch what happens.
Yeah. And then staying right there too, the album Still, I feel like when you hear the word still, you think about sometimes we need to sit still, sometimes we still need to have faith, sometimes we still have to put the extra forward, we still need to read our Bible. Like there's so many things we still need to do, or
yes,
being still. But for you, with this album title, why'd you name it Still?
For those very reasons, but also to do those things, I think you got to come to a place of stillness in your heart and mind, because there's so many reasons sometimes for circumstances to rain down on you and make you feel anxious about the future. And really, it's that song in particular starts as a confession, just that I've had that in my own life where there are things that I've been anxious about, and you can mistake the anxiety you feel for being on the wrong path. And maybe I made a mistake to try. And no, it's just that the mountain is big. It's real big, and it's casting a shadow, and it can make it real dark to see your way forward. But the reason you're in front of that mountain today is because of the instruction that you were given from the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the person that has all the answers. He put you on this path, so you got to keep walking it out. Even with fear and trembling, you got to keep walking it out. So that still, I'm glad you said those other things, because I can say that about just being still in your heart and trusting that you can be anxious for nothing. That you can be still and know that God is going to manifest his glory, even to people that don't believe it.
Well, I like one of the lines you put. It was striving to do things right, but
Yes.
when things go wrong, tempted to hide.
Yeah.
I thought it was only me. So when I heard the line, it was like, wow.
I was reluctant to say it because I thought it was only me. You hear what I'm saying? And that goes back to what we're talking about. Like, it's never only you. It's never only you. And I think part of what our enemy wants to do is isolate us in ways that make us think we're alone, and then add to the anxiety, But you're never alone. You're never alone.
That's good.
I think that's the cool thing about music too, is that it really reaches people in different ways according to their situation. But I also feel like Still just comes at a very sensitive time for us right now. Not even just our nation, but the world kind of. And we all could use it, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because we love you and because we work hard in their city blues class. But the project is, like I said earlier, music you can really feel, and a lot of gospel music is in general, but this one just hits a little different because I think historically our culture has used gospel music, blues, R&B, hip hop, soul music to just kind of ignite that change and spread hope. And it's obviously in your music, but where do you stand when it comes to spreading that message in this pandemic? Social unrest, political uncertainty, we're kind of facing or entangled in right now.
That's good. That's good because I'm gonna add to that question. I like that question. Good question. When you worked on this album, was this in sections like COVID, then racism, or was this pre-COVID? Like, I'm just want to know where your head was at during this whole. On top of what she just, that's like, wow, that was a good question, Lee. That
is a great question. And let's talk about the racism part to start. Man, that's where my head has been since we did Heal, Find a Way for the last record for Great Work. That was inspired, and I don't want to say inspired. That's not inspiring at all to watch Philando Castile get murdered by a scared police officer in front of his friend,
Yeah.
children. That's crazy, right? But what seems to happen sometimes is like we'll get like these intense messages around, okay, man, it's a problem. Then it'll tamp down a little bit, we'll get comfortable, and then it'll come back, tamp down a little bit. And then, like you said, the quarantine happened, and then that took over everything, right? Seemingly until we found out African Americans and people of color were more affected, and then that tamped down a little bit. and then George Floyd was murdered on camera, and that just disrupted the whole world, seemingly, And so when you ask about where do I stand where I was before the quarantine happened, before all of that. And that is, I feel this deep desire to encourage my community, to encourage the esteem of my community, to do it and say whatever I can to empower my community in ways where they don't feel like victims, but indeed victors. To keep moving forward and to keep building for a future that has been promised, That's where I stand. And in terms of the particulars of this record and how we made it, so I cannot say necessarily that it was like what we saw, because I was already seeing it. You know what I mean? And even Inner City Blues, that was recorded before the quarantine. It's just that I knew we were supposed to put it on this record after everything happened. You know what I mean? And so I know I'm struggling with this question, but I want to get at something and answering it, and that is that I believe the Lord has given us what we need already to make it. I really believe it. We just have to employ it. We have to do it, prepare. And you got to be real about where you didn't prepare. You got to be real about where you might have slept on some things before, but it's not too late, because if you still got breath in your body, you still got the grace to correct and do the right thing and move forward. So that's why where do I stand? I kind of stand where I was before. Still.
That's good.
Yeah.
Was it good? Seriously.
That was good.
So y'all gonna edit it? 'Cause I'm like, man, is this making sense what I'm saying?
It made a lot of sense. Yeah, it made a lot of sense. And it's real. Like, that's the thing too. I feel like a lot of this is bringing out where people stood.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is it right there.
Yeah.
It is. This is easy, but 2020, we always said about perfect vision, and it's really helping you to see.
Yeah.
It's really helping you to see.
Yeah.
And that is a blessing.
It is.
That's a blessing.
I know I've learned a lot this year.
Whew, man, I've learned a lot. And there's a peace in it.
Yeah.
There's a peace in it.
Yeah, it's like been a trying year, but I guess like when you know God, even though sometimes you might, like I said earlier, you're like, what the heck is going on? But there is that peace in just knowing it's still in His plan and we are in His will. So.
Right. I'm scared of those who don't know.
You ever heard his name, Oswald Chambers? My Utmost for His Highest is the name of his book. It's a devotional he did. one of the days of the devotional, he talks about this word disillusionment and how it has a negative connotation when we say it, but it's really a good thing to find out that what you believed was an illusion. So now you can let that go and deal with the reality. And that's what I mean when I say there's a peace in it. Like, man, okay, I know that this is true at this point because I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And our enemy wants you to question what you see.
Facts.
Dead at it. And they, man, nah, that ain't it. That's not what it is. You would lie and the truth ain't in you.
Mm-hmm. And even question what's in your mind. Speaking of books, what's her name? Did Joyce Myers write it? Battlefield of the Mind?
I think she did write that, yeah.
Yeah, that's like another one where like you just gotta think and don't let the devil tell you something else out of what you see.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. If you were given an opportunity to say a few words to our president, man to man, to bring peace, what would you say?
That's a good question. I would say what we started with this conversation with, I would try to lead him in praying for mercy. I think we need mercy. And any human being living here needs it. And praying for it and asking for it requires a sense of humility. You gotta believe that, man, there's something bigger than me and I can't see it. And I need your mercy in the middle of it. And I think I would tell him how hurtful he is. He needs to know it. And not in a way that necessarily reviles him or insults him, but man, just lets him know. You know? Now, does that mean he'll do anything about it? I don't know. Because I've met people who they like you to hurt. They want you to hurt.
Wow.
They up on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel something empowering about a person knowing for themselves and drawing a line and saying, hey man, you've crossed the line. I know you've crossed the line. You know what I mean? As opposed to deluding yourself into thinking, yo, this is right. Like you would be in like an abusive relationship. Yeah, I know he hits me, but you know, he pays the bill. You know what I'm saying? Like you settling for less. And you convinced yourself that it's acceptable. I think it's important when you're confronting. I think it's important to be clear about what's acceptable.
That's good. But like you said, some people like this. They like to hurt. That's good.
They do, man. They get off on. They get off on dominating.
Yeah. So last time we talked, I think it was at the Dove Awards, when red carpets in person was still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Actually, you sang a line of encouragement for the people watching, and people loved it. So I was wondering if today you could sing a line for people looking for a good word today.
What did I sing the last time?
Lament, you sing that song where you go, my God. And you know what's crazy? I always look back at that video too. So maybe it's just for myself. I don't know. But I know Gospel Goodies viewers will love it. But you sing, our God is good all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Will that do again? Can we do it again? Because I think, you know, when this quarantine happened, like I jumped on Instagram and that's what I sang.
Oh, wow.
Our God is good all of the time. May this truth ease each troubled mind. Through every season, sunshine or the rain, you can be sure Our God is good. Ain't no need of worrying what the night is gonna bring. It'll be all over in the morning.
Nice. Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Well, that's all we have. Where can people follow you? I know the album comes out October 16th. Can you just tell people where to follow you and how to get the album?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Brian Courtney Wilson, Facebook, Brian Courtney Wilson. We're on Twitter at B Courtney Wilson. And the album is available for pre-order now too. So you can get Still and Inner City Blues in anticipation of the full project on October 16th. And I thank y'all for even letting me come on and share today.
Oh, thank you for spending the time with us. I enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you so much.